Hey listeners, your host Denny Corby here. If you're new to the channel, I just want to let you know that this particular episode is from the vault with our OG host Gabe, and this is just good old-fashioned private club radio. Enjoy.
Welcome to Private Club Radio, your weekly source for industry education, news, and discussion. Broadcasting from Tampa, Florida, ladies and gentlemen, here is your host, Gabriel Aloisi.
Welcome. It's Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific, which means it's time for Private Club Radio Live. Thanks for joining us. What I love about this platform is the fact that you can have live interaction with the guests that I'm bringing on each week. And so if you've got a question at any point during the conversation that we're about to have, I want you to please pop it in the chat, no matter what platform you're using, because we're live streaming to LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. So whatever platform you're using, feel free to come and interact with us. I've got an awesome guest that's about to join us, Toni Shibayama of S&K Insurance, who just wrote a really, really cool book called the Big Game Playbook. I've been reading this book. In fact, you can probably see it's highlighted, dog-eared, and all that good stuff. Really great lessons that are applicable to any club manager out there who's about to start a new position. And it's just great advice. I can't wait to have Toni on the show. But before we do that, just a little bit of housekeeping. We did quadruple the audience of Private Club Radio by doing this live stream show. And it's in the impetus for doing the live stream show was Restream approaching me and seeing if we could partner up together and bring you this show live every week. And so really love what Restream's doing. The platform that you're watching this on right now is Restream. And what Restream allows you to do is simulcast. So we're simulcasting this again to YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, multiple pages within Facebook. It also records the episode for you. You get the live interaction of the audience. So if you've got a club out there and you're thinking about doing something interesting, unique, Restream is an incredible platform that you can do it. You can use your existing Zoom if you're comfortable using Zoom and link it into Restream. But to be able to have that live interaction with your members, with potentials, people looking at your club, it's really an incredible platform. You can actually use privateclubradio.com/restream to start a free trial. If you use my link, you'll also get 50% off. So there you have it. Very powerful platform for you to be able to have that live interaction with your members and potential prospects of the club. Highly, highly recommend it. privateclubradio.com/restream. Thanks to Restream for being a partner of this show. I also want to thank Concert Golf Partners, providing capital to private clubs all over the country. Their network is now 22 clubs strong. Peter and his team do an incredible job at Concert Golf. I also want to thank Capstone Hospitality, who helps bring this show live to you each week. Capstone provides membership, marketing, and sales for your private club. Capstone Hospitality, great friends of the show. Brian will be on later this month to talk about it as well, so stay tuned for that. A couple more little pieces of housekeeping, some upcoming guests. We've got Leighton Walker joining us next week on the 19th. He's going to give us an update on the state of clubs in Europe and the UK. We're going to be speaking with the man, the myth, the legend, Michael Crandall on the 26th, Tuesday, 10 a.m. Michael's going to be joining us to talk about the ABCs of plutonium private leadership and more leadership lessons for you. And then we've got Robert Sorecki joining us February 2nd. I've been trying to get Robert on the show for, 3-4 years. Finally, I just begged him to come on, and he agreed to come on February 2nd. So he'll be our guest. Again, if you've got questions, these are the folks that to ask. And you can do that live here on Private Club Radio. Last little piece of news, we just released the Let's Play Through Golf Travel podcast. So I've been doing the Let's Play Through Golf Travel show on YouTube. Now we've got a companion podcast for you to listen to. It's available on wherever podcasts are heard. So if you use Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any of those platforms, just search for Golf Travel Show. It'll pop right up. You'll see the little logo for Let's Play Through. So there's your announcements for today. It's now time to bring on a really awesome guest, another friend of the show, Toni, who's been on a number of times. 2-3 times. She always has incredible advice, always blows me away. Like Toni has S&K Insurance. And when you think of like insurance people, at least me, I'm like trying to avoid insurance people as much as possible. But Toni is the absolute opposite of that. She always has incredible wisdom, really, really great insights in terms of the private club industry. And I hope you enjoy this. Again, you can ask Toni or myself a question throughout this, but without further ado, I'm going to bring the author of the book on here, the Big Game Playbook, Toni Shibayama. Toni, welcome to Private Club Radio.
Thanks for having me, Gabe. I'm honored to be on Restream. I think this is an amazing platform, and very honored to be with the starting lineups for January as well, too.
Yeah, exactly. We're kicking off with a bang, and honestly, I've got the whole show scheduled out for like 3 months of just power
Amazing.
players. It's going to be great. So, first off, I want to get right into the meat of this book, which I enjoyed immensely. But for folks who are thinking about picking up a copy, what's the one big takeaway for a club manager, Toni?
It's all about your people. It's all about your people. It starts and stops with your people. Take your time, cultivate them, create that culture of caring. And that is your biggest asset when it comes to the club. I know we have our equipment, I know we have our golf course, but really what makes your club stand out is your people. So that's the first P. You have to start with that, and everything else you build around it. And so for any new GM coming in or any existing GM that's looking for, 2021, how are we going to pivot? What's the new normal? What's the new reality look like? You really have to start with your team and your people. And the number one question I always ask my club clients is, are people happy? Do you have the right team? And if they can't confidently say yes, then we kind of start with that. And I really do think that investment in the people, the culture will make your club number one. I really, really do.
I love it. You actually had 3 Ps that you started the book with. Can you share those with us, Toni?
We talked about, you have your people, most drama stems from your people. A lot of risk starts with your people. And then I kind of talk about protection, looking at that. What are your pitfalls? Where are your areas where it could take you out as a GM? Are we looking at disaster? Are we looking at on the job violence? Are we looking at a lawsuit? So looking at the protection. But once we get the people, we got a protection, and I'm looking at from a risk management standpoint, really then we can promote, because we've got the best club. We've got the best processes. We've got, button down policies and procedures and safety. Let's bring on the new members and their guests, right? And so I kind of start off with 3 Ps, and starting off with the first P, which is the biggest investment, and then working your way up, right? Obviously, clubs, it's about membership. But I think that's the last P, because you have to have a great product. You've got to have the right people. So that way, when you are selling membership, they come in and go, I have to be part of this.
Yeah,
I mean, this is my new home. You can't sell it. They have to feel it. And it's from the person at the valet. It's from the person at the golf shop. It's the person that's taking it's throughout. And I know with a lot of clubs, we have different little fiefdoms, but as a member, prospective member, I look at it as the club. So really the Ps, I always start off with, where are we in the Ps? If we got our team down, they're trained, they know what to do, they know our culture, they know our tradition. The second P, we've got protection, we've got policies in place, and we're consistent. We give that consistent product, then let's go get the membership.
I love it.
That's how I look at it.
That's a great way to do it. In the first chapter of the book, you started talking about when you first have that new position, walk into that club for the first time. It's so important to set a realistic vision. So, what do you mean by that, Toni?
I meet a lot of new GMs, and sometimes I knew the previous GMs and sometimes I don't. But I always want to ask, where are you taking this club? And some are pretty drastic changes, and some are incremental changes as well, too. I really think that people need to see that vision But I really think that the folks that have been there for 20, 30, 50 years sometimes, but your leaders have to be part of that vision. Getting their feedback is incredibly important. And then putting together kind of almost like a collaborative vision is really, really, really critical, I believe, too. So that's really one of the things that I tell people is here's your vision. Is it attainable? Is it something that's we can do with our team? But also at the end of the day, too, are they seeing that vision as well?
Yep. You have to get the right players on the bus. And in chapter 2, you started talking about how do you separate, and the quote you used was separating the plow horses from the race horses, which I thought was a great analogy. Can you explain that for us, Tony?
You're always going to have people that want more, want more, want more, want more. Um, those are people that you constantly are going to have to give them educational opportunities, give them, here's the track for your career. But then also too, you're going to have some maybe long-term employees and asking them, is there anything else you'd like to do? I always get this from clubs. We have somebody who's been doing a job for 20 years and we capped out on that particular job. And I always ask them, have you asked them would they like to do anything else? And they go, no, we've never asked them. And you have a lot of people that are perfectly content with being at that position and just staying there as well, too. So who's going to be your next leaders and who is going to just be here? I'm going to be doing the work and I'm okay. I don't want that leadership position. And so I do see people kind of saying, here are my racehorses. They want more, more, and more. If I don't challenge them, they're going to leave very soon. So I need to give them some educational opportunity. I also need to see about, is there some cross training opportunities and giving them a career path within the club as well too. And I do see that some of the most loyal employees do want that career path. And other people are watching as well too. They see that, wow, if you put in the effort, you get to know the club, get to know the members, you create that tradition that there is an opportunity, a career path here as well.
I was reading a quote from the book, which I really loved on that subject, Tony. Ask somebody who's been in the same position for 20 years if they would like to be in another position. Do they have any aspirations? Maybe they want to be a sous chef. We do a disservice if we don't encourage training and advancements within. And I think I really loved that. It's something that I've, thought about from time to time in my own business. And I know some folks in a management position might feel like, the players on the bus, should stay in their lane, or maybe they're training, their replacement or something like that. Why is that approach so important, though, to take the approach that you're talking about in the book, Tony?
So I think it is a disservice not to ask, is there anything else here that you'd like a chance at? Or is there any interest as well, too? And I think you do have a lot of interested characters that want that opportunity, and everybody's watching as well, too. I think it's really important for managers, because I get this question, is to have that, where do you want to be in the next couple of years here at the club? And to just sit and see what the answer is. And you would be really, really, really surprised. I would say, some of the best employees that I've seen that really embody a club have been given that opportunity. And they go, gosh, I was at the cart barn, I was at the snack shop, and now here I'm in HR. And I go, wow. I go, that's phenomenal. And they know the people, they know the members, they know the club. And just to have that wonderful background and that opportunity is really kind of look at, you have this acre of diamonds, right? And you have these loyal employees. What else could they do at the club? What else would they like to do at the club? And you could have your future leaders right in front of you.
Having that continuity and consistency is what makes a club to me, right? Having folks that have been there for years who know the members' names. You can't put a price tag on that experience for a member. So I love that advice, Tony. In chapter 3 of the book, you talk about assessing risk and training your staff to look for potential risk and pitfalls. How do you go about doing that, and why is that so important?
Well, see, this is when my insurance hat comes on. So I think more than anything, when I get an opportunity to sit down with the department heads and leaders and supervisors and managers, I always ask, who here has been trained to hire and fire and have uncomfortable conversations? And they kind of look at me like I have three eyeballs. And I go, perfect. That's why we're here. I think we do a disservice when we don't train our supervisors and managers who are usually loyal employees, right? You've been a great individual contributor. Now we're going to give you 12 people to manage. And it's a very, very difficult job, that transition. And so, one, I think that transition training is really, really critical. And then I think that really giving them clear, here's how we hire, here's how we fire, here's how we are consistent within the job. And here are some of the pitfalls. We don't expect you to memorize the employee manual or handbook. We don't expect you to be HR. We just want you to be, I guess, aware enough to bring it up to management if there should be a problem. Not all of this should fall on your shoulders, but just enough, I would say, so that way they don't open mouth, insert foot. So we always tell people, when you hire, here are some of the best practices. When you fire, here's some of the best practices. But most times, I would say most managers, supervisors, and leads really need training as it relates to conflict management and having uncomfortable conversations to bring out the best in their employees, to make sure people are doing things correctly. What I tend to see at clubs is we're all very nice people. We're in hospitality and we don't like conflict. We would actually prefer someone. I hear this a lot in clubs. Well, I'm just going to have to wait for them to retire. And I'll go, well, how old are they? They're like 42. And I go, wow, that's a really long time. Versus, why don't we sit down, talk to this person, give them a roadmap, give them some, some things that they need to accomplish within a certain period of time, and change the conversation to be more of a coach versus a disciplinarian. I think it's really, 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 really critical. Your managers, supervisors, and leaders are your front line. And so if you don't provide them training, there can be significant risk on how they deal with horseplay or name calling, also known as harassment now, dealing with an emergency, someone having a heart attack on the golf course, someone choking, those types of things. And so a lot of this kind of goes back to training. Have we given our managers enough training so that way, if they are under fire, they know what to do or where to go?
Yeah. You had some really good examples. You told some great stories in the book. What was what was one of the favorite stories that you had?
God, well, which one scared you the most? I have to.
There was some cautionary tales. Absolutely.
I would say right now, a lot of times I'll talk to people, they go, we're very sensitive now. We're very sensitive now. And I go, some people could say we're very sensitive now, or people could say, well, yeah, we are sensitive now. I would say that, all that's going on right now is we need to be aware. We need to be aware. We need to be mindful, but it all comes down to respect at the workplace. And so, I know we all have these policies and procedures. We all sign our life away, say, yes, we will comply with them. But really, what I ask for clubs and for the managers is it's on your watch and we demand respect. And I don't care if it's horseplay, name calling, joking. It's on your watch. It's in your department. I go, now, I don't want us to be a bunch of robots. But if you were deposed, right? If we had to bring you to court, and how would you feel? They say, did you let this language go on?
Right.
Were you making fun of this person? Were you making racial slurs? You would be mortified. But sometimes they go, oh, we're in jest. We're in jest. And I really just think, I always tell people, I go, I want to have fun too, right? I want to have fun too, but not at the expense of somebody else. And, we've seen horrific outcomes of on the job violence where it just started off with ribbing and joking and a little bit of horseplay. And every time there's that situation of kind of a crisis management, we kind of go, gosh, how could that have been prevented? And also, too, who saw it, who was around, and who was the leader at that time as well, too. So, it's kind of like, wow, I see people slipping and falling 5 times. So funny. And I kind of go, well, now he cracked his head open. I go, oh my gosh, what happened here? So a lot of times you're seeing it as a manager. You need to do something about it, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable. And really, I use the amount of respect in the workplace, right? Because I don't care how old, what race, what religion, right? But if we respect one another, it's going to be a more harmonious work environment. And the members are going to be able to feel that as well, too.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. It definitely carries through to the membership. All that stuff that happens behind the scenes eventually bears its light, right? So the back half of the book really is dedicated to risk assessment and things that you should really be mindful of when you're first walking into that new position as a club manager. What are some of the areas of risk, or what are some of the biggest risk factors that you commonly see, Tony?
Yeah, I always ask the new GMs, do you know where your blind sides are? Do you know where those little cracks and crevices are within the organization? And sometimes I kind of get well, what are you talking about specifically? And I go, well, you know, are we ready for a disaster? Or do we have happy employees? Do we have any lawsuits? Could we have any governmental organizations coming in? So I always ask, what are the top 3 things that kind of keep you up at night? And if they don't really have a good understanding of where their weaknesses are or the areas of improvement, then I kind of go, well, let's ask some questions and kind of get an assessment to see where some of your biggest risks are. And really, for a tenure for a GM is I never want there to be a scandalous article in a major newspaper. I never want there to be a large lawsuit costing the club millions of dollars and 3, 4 years of their life. And so how can we avoid some of these really, really big pitfalls? And it can be everything from your hiring process to the culture of your club. Do you not have the right infrastructure? Have you not trained people? I do have fire hazards everywhere. And so I think it's really, really important that GMs in general or new GMs identify those big areas of risk sooner than later, because those are really big, big items that could derail their club and also their career as well, too.
Absolutely. I mean, the book, I said, if you're just joining us on the live stream, just chocked full of advice. I've got so many highlights, and I'm not even a club manager, right? So this book is so applicable across all industries. But certainly, if you're a club manager, you're walking into a new position, and we know, I don't know what the exact average is these days, but I know it used to be about 2.5 years was the average tenure of a general manager at a private club. It can't be much far removed from that at this point. Very likely, you're going to be walking into 2, 3, 4 new jobs in your career, and having something like this is a great guide to have. So I really appreciate, Tony, you coming on to chat about it. How did they get a copy of this book?
It is on Amazon, and also it's on You can get an ebook as well. And for those that are friends of Private Club Radio, I'll be gifting a book as well. Just email me.
Nice.
You can give out my email and I'll send you a copy. It's really my give back to the club industry. I think those that are in the club industry are just wonderful people. It's all about that emotional connection to the members, the club. And it's been about 25 years since I've been working with clubs, and I absolutely love the industry. So if I can help anybody, this is my give back to all of those that would like a copy.
That's so cool. And let's talk about how you help clubs, Toni.
So the biggest part is I try to reduce their exposure. And if we do that, hopefully I can give you really good premium renewals. um, there's a lot of work that goes into it. I hate giving bad renewals. When I mean renewals, it's all the um, policies that you're required to have, need to have um, in the case of disasters, in the case of cyber or a lawsuit or any of those things. The key with us is though, we don't want you to use those insurance coverages. Then if you don't use them, I always tell them the beauty of insurance is if you don't file a claim, then hopefully we won't kill you with increases.
Right.
And so it's really kind of a partnership is I go, I'm going to put together this bubble of protection. Now let's not use it. And actually over years, if we get really good at risk management, maybe that bubble gets a little bit smaller because you don't need as much. And so really my job is to identify the risk, put in some solutions and put that barrier around you. Also too, before you make any sort of employment action, call, have I call it the protection team. I call it walking people off the ledge a lot of times.
Nice.
Talk to your HR person, call me, call your labor attorney and walk through it before you make a rash decision, right? Based on emotions. Please don't do that. Because it may be something that you need to pay for next 2 to 3 years. It's stressful, right? Very costly and could impact the club for years to come as well, too. So, I really think that at the end of the day, what I advise clubs is identify your risk, make sure you have your protection team, and of that protection that you have, try not to use it, but really work on those 3 Ps. Your people are everything. If you don't do a good, your stress is very high.
Right.
Instant people, your experience will just not be at that pinnacle that you need it to be while you're the GM of a club.
Yep. Very, very wise words there. Again, if you do want a copy of this, Toni is super being like incredible to our listeners here to offer you a complimentary copy. I'll put Toni's email in the show notes if you're watching the replay on this. But Toni, what is the email address if people want to reach out to you and learn more?
Sure. It's Toni at sk-insurance.com and it's Toni with an I. I get 50% of my emails say Toni with a Y and I'm not offended whatsoever. But Toni with the I, just email me. I'll send you a copy in the mail and, wishing everybody all the best. It's just a collection of stories worth over 25 years of GMs that did it correctly and came out the other end, and others where we just lessons learned and just want to pay it forward.
Yeah. Fantastic lessons. The stories, everything about this book is extremely relevant, again, to anyone who's starting a new position in the industry or, changing clubs and moving to a new club and starting out. So absolutely get your copy of the Big Game Playbook. Reach out to Toni if you have any needs when it comes to insurance and managing your risk at a club. When I first met Toni, I think she mentioned if people never have to file a claim, she's done her job. And she's been great in terms of educating this industry. So Toni, appreciate your time here on Private Club Radio Live. We hope to have you back again soon, and good luck with the book, and hope it's a big success for you.
Thank you, Gabe, so much. Appreciate the time.